Hey, hi, hello. I like making art. I've been doing it my whole life, but sometimes it doesn't feel like I'm getting any better. Do you know what I mean? Let's face it, every time we get better at putting the vision onto the paper, the freaking goalpost just moves. Our ideas, technique, and taste develop, and it's like skill is always playing catch up with the vision. It can be discouraging, but it's not time to put down the pencil just yet. I have an exercise that's really good at squashing art block, and we're about to go through it together. Has this ever happened to you? You finish a drawing, your chest swells with pride, you've made your masterpiece, and it's something that just wouldn't have been possible when you first started taking drawing seriously. You just might be a real artist now. And then a year goes by, you're flipping through that old sketchbook, you get to that picture, and then you look at it like, wait a minute, I used to think this was the best thing I ever did? How? Before you go burying and burning all of your old sketchbooks, you really need to start redrawing your old art, especially the art that you used to be really proud of, and especially during times you haven't been feeling your art gains quite as strongly. Improving at art happens over long periods of time, okay? I'm going to walk you through a few pieces of mine that were game changers in my confidence as an artist. We're going to break down what worked and what didn't, and I'm going to show you how I would approach these pieces now. Alright, let's get into it. 2019 is when I first got an iPad, and this pink-haired girl marked the start of me understanding how to color digitally. I was proud of how vibrant she was, and I was especially happy that her skin tone looked warm and rosy, instead of that ruddy beige that all of my art had up until that point. I remember struggling a lot with the pose and the clothing, and I redrew it over and over and over. I didn't have a good understanding of anatomy or clothing at the time, and I was sort of just guessing what it should have looked like. My goals for this redraw are to fix her anatomy with a photo reference, simplify any unnecessary details, and place her in an environment that makes sense with her pose. Let's start with photo reference. If I knew back then the power of photo reference, I could have avoided a lot of struggle. Many beginner artists seem to think that references are cheating, but professional artists use reference all the time. From the Renaissance painters to Norman Rockwell to modern animation. It's possible to draw something enough times that you can draw it from memory, but drawing from a photo usually takes less work and it looks better. So why wouldn't you do that? It's a best practice to take your own photo reference. Like, I get it. Learning how to take good photos has its own learning curve, but you'll never have to worry about infringing on another photographer's copyright if you decide to sell your art in the future. Plus, you can get exactly the pose or the lighting you want, and you don't get stuck going onto Instagram or Pinterest with the intention of getting a reference, only to get distracted and start scrolling during your precious art time. Yeah, you don't need to be doing that. Let's just learn how to take our own photos. Alright, the anatomy and the clothing is looking a lot better. The next thing I want to do is look at reducing detail, and here's why. I used to compensate for my weak fundamentals by adding lots of little details to my drawings in hopes that would polish it up and make it look better. A lot of my art from this time took me forever to make, and it looked really busy for no good reason. Here's the thing about style. The details we choose to leave out are as important as the ones we decide to keep. My strengths as an artist are in my shapes, my lines, and my colors. My best artwork comes from using these as pillars and only including just enough detail to bring it all together. So for this, I needed to skip all of my little gradients, my sparkles, my blushes, and most of the shading. Specifically with shading, here's the thing. Complicated rendering was always a bottleneck in my workflow. I recently had to let go of that and just make the decision that cell shading is good enough for me for now. It complements my more simple art style, and it speeds up my workflow. One major source of artistic burnout for me was that I had way too many ideas and not enough time to make them all. I started having a lot more fun with my art when I found ways to speed up the process. The fewer corrections and do-overs I did, the more art I could make, the more I could get those ideas out, and just the more fun I had in the end. This original drawing took 16 hours, but the one you're seeing me make right now, 3.5 hours. In fact, all of the redraws I made for this video took less time than this one drawing did 6 years ago. Overall, I feel the new piece has more energy to it, even though it's more simple. I approached this piece with fewer, more precise decisions, and got a more cohesive drawing in less time. I feel like I achieved what I set out to do. It's time to move on. Space Cadet Celeste came to be when I was brainstorming what a magical girl story would look like in the United States during the 2000s. My goals for this piece are more focused on character design. What would a Y2K middle school emo kid want as her magical girl uniform? I pictured American magical girls as these outcast weirdos who were way too into anime and the occult. They swore, they got into fistfights, and they had a lot of pressures trying to grow up in a world that misunderstands them if they were even noticed at all. I wanted Celeste to even be an outcast among other magical girl protagonists. I chose to make her more boyish and give her a green palette instead of the usual pink or red, and I updated her poofy little skirt to be a style a little more in line with the era. Remember a few minutes ago when I talked about bottlenecks? Ruffles were another thing I could easily get lost in, so I decided for this one to simplify the shape and just sort of imply a ruffle with that zigzag edge on the skirt. I thought the knee-high Converse were a must. The sweetheart neckline was a little more 2010s, so I swapped that out for a straight-across tube-top neckline. I thought the puff sleeve would add more balance to the design, and I swapped out the cape for a vest, so I had a better opportunity for some color blocking. I wanted to make a pose that looked like the final flourish on a magical girl transformation sequence. Making the pose off balance and adding some movement in the hair and the clothes make it look like she has momentum. Stiff posing was a huge struggle of mine, and honestly it still is. I really need to do more figure drawing and learn how to loosen that up a bit more. I think her proportions look better in the new piece, but I probably could have done it better and faster if I took my own advice from the last drawing and took photo reference. But I was in too deep at this point, and I just wanted to keep going. I'm a lot happier with the new design. Character design is its own art. You have to think of who this person is and how you're visually going to communicate that to people. I know there's no single right answer for doing that. I don't necessarily see this as her final design, but I'm definitely one step closer to who I want her to be. Are we good? I think we're good. We're moving on again. The Vampire Donut Girl is my favorite of the pieces I'm showing you today. I love her colors and her costuming, but I feel like I can push the character's acting a little bit more. Like in the original, she's a little unhinged, but I want her to seem like kind of nuts. I remember wanting her to have bangs in the first piece, but I couldn't figure out how to draw it, so I just pulled her hair all the way back, so she's getting bangs this time, okay? I also wanted to put more emphasis on this donut, so I changed her pose to turn the donut from yet another accessory to being like the focus of this drawing. I remember the first time I really struggled with like where to place her bust on her rib cage. But recently I started doing this thing where I would take like a Lara Croft triangle prism situation and like slap that onto the rib cage so I could map out where the chest would sit on her ribs. And it's kind of been working out for me. So if that's something you've ever struggled with, like give it a try, okay? I thought of going with pink skin like I did on the first drawing, but I really wanted a little more variation in the color this time around. So I decided to go for this toasted tan color so that her skin kind of looked like the base of a donut without any frosting, like a cake donut. Once I finished coloring everything in though, she was starting to remind me of another unhinged jelly donut girl. But maybe I'm just dreaming. In order to continue my trend of donut-focused design, I shaded her as if the light source was coming from the donut itself. I struggled a bit at first, but then I realized I could just make the left side of the body completely in shadow and just cut out the light parts. This helped me commit to the shadows a little bit more. Recently I've been studying paintings, and my big takeaway is to start with the big light and shadow shapes and then kind of work smaller and smaller. I think I used to start small in hopes I could work up to big because I wasn't confident in my choices. But then, once again, I'd get lost in the details. I don't have a picture of her with the original background anymore, but I figured this is another opportunity to focus on this donut. Why not imply there's light radiating from the sweet treat? So the colors in the background kind of coming out like spokes, I felt like that was a really great way to just like visually point to this thing. Like no matter where your eye is resting on this page, it's about to rest on this donut. Here's a side-by-side of the old artwork and the new artwork that we've done today. I think redrawing your old art is a really great way to remind yourself that you're getting better. It's just that art takes time and it's really hard. So if you're feeling like nothing you make looks right and it's starting to get to you a little bit, I want you to try this. Because if you love what you're doing, you'll be a lot more motivated to keep on working on it. The most human thing we can do is craft and create. It's good for the soul, and we need that kind of energy in day-to-day life now more than ever. Well, thanks for making it to the end of my first video. YouTube's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid, and it means a lot to me that you're here right now. I hope to see you here next time. Bye for now.